And we are back with a really special conversation with Ali Rauch, President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce in Opelika. Ali, thank you so much for taking the time.
I am so excited to be back. You guys have come so far since our first episode.
We've come so far.
Yeah, we're literally across the street from where our first time you talked with us.
And we're curious, so it's been a little while since we last sat down. What have been some of the biggest changes in your life since last time we sat down?
Oh my gosh. Well, we've raised $3 million, so that's a really, really big deal.
Yeah.
We've been doing a big campaign called Forward Opelika to help the Chamber start tackling workforce development efforts and move into a new building and space. And so that has been just my child for the last 2 years. And in the last, however many months since we met, it's been at least a year, right?
Yeah. It was, I think it was November when you came on.
It's about 8 months, 10 months, close to a year.
Close to a
year.
Yeah, so we've raised just over $3 million from 86 investors, and we are about to start construction any day now on our new space, which is super, super exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, and can you tell us a little bit about that new space?
Yes, so it is the old Opelika Library, so it's located at 200 South 6th Street, and it's really just a big open space, which is really incredible. I had been in it many times as a library and didn't quite grasp what it could look like for a Chamber of Commerce until walking in once, all the furniture and bookshelves had been removed. Then I realized, oh, this is just this big open box that I can make into whatever we want. And so when it's going to be full of really incredible spaces. So we're going to have a training center / ballroom area that could seat up to 100 people to sit down and have dinner, or over 200 people if you just wanted to come listen to a speaker and we're sitting theater style. So that's going to be the biggest difference, that we can host a lot of our own events and meetings in that space. And it'll also be another meeting rental space for folks in the community. It's also going to house a business incubator. And so in that, we're still kind of working out the logistics of what that'll look like, but it is going to be a hub and a space for businesses to get started. So we're partnering with the SBDC. They're hopefully going to have a satellite office in there with us. And then we'll have a director of business and workforce development who is kind of going to be that point person when someone's like, hey, I want to start a business. What do I do to get started? That'll be the person that will kind of help them get going. And then, of course, our offices will be in there. We'll have a room that would be equipped for podcast recording, for photography or webinars that you want to record. So we're doing some special things and special lighting in that space. A couple conference rooms, a big one, a small one. And then one of the things I'm most excited about is that it is going to have a state-of-the-art visitor center that is going to be the Auburn Opelika Visitor Experience. And so our partners at AO Tourism are outfitting that space. They are partnering with a group called Storyland Studios, who are former Disney and Universal execs. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Some of the team created the Hogwarts Express that takes you from one park to the other at Universal Studios, so I'm totally geeking out about it. But they are designing the space, and they have put together this incredible proposal that is interactive, that helps tell the story of Auburn and Opelika, and it's going to be right here, so close to downtown, and we know that there is no other visitor center in Lee County. And people like to come to the visitor center, whether they're hopping off the interstate or they're coming to the area to figure out what all do I want to do while I'm here. And so we're going to have that this close to downtown. So I think it's going to be a good economic booster for our community. And I'm just pumped.
That's crazy. Well, and this is what's breaking construction.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's exciting. And this is all part of the Forward Opelika initiative.
It is.
Okay. So I'm really curious about this. I was doing some research. Y'all put out a little booklet that was very informative. But I want to hear from you in a few sentences. What is Forward Opelika?
So Forward Opelika is a strategic community and economic development initiative that is going to let the Chamber start tackling 3 big challenges that our community faces. First off, attracting and aligning talent. There are more than 1,000 to 1,500 open jobs in our community right now. And so the person that we're going to hire is going to eat, sleep, live, and breathe filling those open jobs. That is going to be their focus. And so they're going to partner with schools, with the city, with a bunch of different state entities who all work on workforce to make sure that Opelika is doing its part to fill those jobs and that our employers have the people that they need. It's also going to involve a talent attraction campaign where we are, convincing people why they should choose Opelika, and Opelika Young Professionals is a part of that.
Never heard of them.
I know, right? Shout out. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Sam's on the board.
Yeah,
so.
for those who may not know, we'll be launching that program in January of 2024.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think that would be exciting.
Opelika Young Professionals. And so Sam's on the board and is going to be responsible for helping kind of decide what are those rules? How are we going to do it? What's it going to look like? But overall, what we can tell from our board members is that they're passionate about giving a place for young people to build that community and build those relationships. And it's going to be happening right here. And it's the place to be. Opelika is amazing and it's where we want to be. And so we're thrilled to be doing that. But the second goal that we have as a part of Forward Opelika is all about business and growing business. And so we're going to start an entrepreneur education program. A lot of times I talk about the fact that when you're a franchise, franchises are very, very successsical. Most businesses that you might not realize are franchise businesses are McDonald's, Chipotle, Starbucks. I don't think Starbucks is actually, but Chicken Salad Chick, for example. Of course, I worked there for a long time. It's a major franchise. Crumble Cookies, Rumble Boxing, major businesses all over this world are franchises. And the reason that they work is because you sign up and you pay a fee and say, I want to open that business. And then the franchisor teaches you everything you need to know to be successful.
Yeah.
The average mom and pop does not get that same training. And so we're going to build out a training program that every business can take to learn the basics that they need to know, everything from legal to HR to marketing to, how to set up your business from the very beginning and kind of give them those resources. We hope to partner them with mentors and really help build out our entrepreneur education program. And then finally, for us to do all of that work, we actually have to have a space to do it. And so the third and final goal is about renovating the old library. And it's a 15,000 square foot facility that is going to be the hub for business here and a great first stop for visitors. So that's Forward Opelika.
It's a little dream, I think. It's a very small dream.
Yeah, nothing ambitious about it.
But I love this idea of especially the idea of trying to attract and draw and maintain, the universities in this county. And so a lot of talented people coming through this area, how do you start to keep them here?
Yes.
I'm curious, what are y'all's thoughts on how do we keep people in small towns and, compete with the draw from an Atlanta or a Nashville? And
Pickleball courts.
Pickleball, it's a part of it.
Yeah.
Opelika is unique in having, I think it's still the largest pickleball.
I think it's the largest covered pickleball courts in the country.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Which is a big deal. And that makes them very, you can play 7 days a week. When you're in the heat of summer, you can still enjoy them because of the fans and the cover. But in all seriousness, how do we keep people to get them to stay here? It all comes back to building that sense of community. And do you have what people want to experience?
Yeah.
I grew up in a very small town. And so Opelika and Auburn is an even bigger metropolis for me. So when you look at the Auburn Opelika area, I have everything I could possibly need. And the benefit of being 2 hours from Atlanta, 3 hours from the beach, those are really cool advantages. But I think the thing that makes Opelika special is it's got this really quaint small town feel while still having access to all of those great things.
Yeah.
And it makes it less intimidating to find your place. But outside of kind of the infrastructure, what do you need to keep people here? You've got to have houses for them to move into. The American dream of being a homeowner, they need to be able to find a place to live. And we've certainly been working and growing that. I know the city has worked on that a lot, and obviously neighborhoods are popping up everywhere, and hopefully that will continue to draw people to stay here. But I think programs like Opelika Young Professionals, where we show them that there's this mentality that when you graduate from Auburn, you have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because everybody leaves. Well, hopefully through Opelika Young Professionals, we're showing them no, you don't have to leave.
Yeah.
If you love it here, you can stay here and you can still make friends and you can still find find your true love and things like that. Because that's, the single dating life isn't that easy here. And maybe YP will be a solution for people getting to meet each other.
Yeah, maybe. I think it really struck a chord with me at the young professionals meeting yesterday when Lindsay Womack mentioned how like it's so easy to find those social circles in college here. And then as soon as you graduate, it gets a lot more difficult. And I told her that I have been telling people this analogy for the last couple of years that I feel like if you stay in Auburn after graduating college, you're like Zach and Cody now, and that you live in the hotel and everybody else is just coming in and leaving at some point, right?
Yeah.
But I think that like that has already begun to change so much, particularly in Opelika. And like I said yesterday, when I first transferred to Auburn in 2015, everybody was like, "Don't stick around here after you graduate." There's just that infrastructure is not in place for people, fresh out of college. But I agree that like the thing that made the difference for me as this last year, I went on a job search and thought I was going to be finding myself in Atlanta most likely, and instead found a job in Opelika. The thing that made that possible as well as appealing enough to keep me here as opposed to Atlanta was that it was more than a job. There was also a community surrounding that job to like put some roots down in, right? And I think people probably don't feel as comfortable if that's not there,
Yeah. And I think there's other things that we do that are all about building community. Like that's really what chambers do across the world. And as crazy as it is, events like Food Truck Friday build community in a way that like I never even expected. I thought it would be good. I thought it would be fun, but it wasn't. It's even more than I dreamed it would be because there are people all over. When I ask them, "Oh, what do you love about Opelika?" They're like, "Oh my gosh, we love Food Truck Friday." And I'm like, I didn't pay them to tell me that, but they're telling me that. And so there's little things like that. I mean, obviously how walkable downtown is.
Yeah.
The let's see, what is it? Summer Swing, Noon Tunes, and there's little things that are like so cool. I remember when Christina from Mac Media just moved here and opened an office downtown, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to go to Noon Tunes for lunch. Do you want anything?" And we met out at the fountain, and she was like, "Where am I? This is amazing." Because we just, grabbed lunch, sat at the fountain, listened to a band on our lunch hour. And there's little things like that we can do that make it a cool place to live and call home. And it's just awesome.
I think it brings in this idea to me when you say like Food Truck Friday fosters community. I start to think, because I was at Food Truck Friday last time, just kind of like looking around and seeing a lot of faces that I had seen that I've never met. These aren't people that I've ever met before. I mean, a few people I see like, oh, there's so-and-so, I haven't seen him in a while. But a lot of people too that are just walking back and forth, and it's like, okay, I just like see that person. And then I go to Food Truck Friday again and I see that person again. And it's just this familiarity that like, even if I don't know everybody, there's just still, because I felt that in college. I was part of why, college was so cool, because even if you don't know everybody, you're kind of walking the same directions generally, and you start to see these faces, and it's like, whoa. And then gradually, like, some of those faces, not all those faces, I end up meeting. And it's like, whoa, I've, like, seen you for the last 4 months, and now I just have this really easy, I feel more comfortable to meet you, because it's not like I'm just seeing you for the first time, oh, I have to meet you. It's like, I've kind of seen you a little bit, and events like Food Truck Friday kind of foster that ability to break down some of those barriers by making people more comfortable with at least faces, maybe even.
I heard a lot of stories and have been told this, that African Americans in Opelika have not felt comfortable coming to downtown for a long time. And I had been told that, but didn't quite understand it. And one thing that I have found, and I'm just very proud of with Food Truck Friday, is that how diverse it really is. Like, we've been intentional about trying to make sure that like our chamber membership looks like our community, and we want to create that community and that downtown environment where everyone wants to come. And that's another one of those blessings and like unintended positives that came from Food Truck Fridays. We have a diverse lineup of food trucks, which then brings a diverse crowd of people that want to eat it. And I think it's gone a long way to make downtown Opelika an even more welcoming environment for everyone. And I love that.
And so with this Forward Opelika, so step 2, the grow business and quality jobs. So thinking about like growing business, I remember reading in the handbook, like growing kind of like homegrown ideas. So Food Truck Friday seems like kind of a perfect launching point for some of this like food-based. But how does the chamber go about kind of like finding people with little ideas and being like, okay, here's the resources that you need? Like, how do y'all go about finding those kind of like niche ideas maybe that make this community so rich?
The good news right now is they typically come to us because we have, especially with Food Truck Friday and with my food background at Chicken Salad Chick, people that are in that side of the business naturally come to the chamber because they have questions and they think we can answer them. And so luckily we get a lot of questions that way. But there's other opportunities that we have too. We're right now in the midst of offering a business boot camp that is, I think, 6 or 8 weeks long, and we're partnering with Auburn University on that. And so it's something that is their Jumpstart Business Boot Camp that they offer, and we just rebranded it to try and make it more inviting and appealing to businesses and home growers and things like that here, so that they knew, like, hey, it's only going to cost you $20 and it's once a week and you get dinner, which is, you've already paid for that, so it's great. And then one of our downtown businesses, Louis Saavedra, was like, this class alone, just the first class that he attended, more than paid for his chamber membership for the year. And I was like, thank you, Louis. Like, wow, I'm so glad. We try and offer different things that, you don't have to be a chamber member to go through that program. And so that's a way that we find them, is if they've got this idea up there and they're trying to figure out how to take it to the next level, they could attend that boot camp. We hosted an entrepreneurship workshop last year, and that was a really great thing. We had people that traveled all the way from Dothan that came to that class, which was impressive. And so just trying to put ourselves out there through all the channels. And we've also explored the idea, or are going to explore the idea, of doing some sort of like contests, and either young entrepreneur contests and things like that. So lots of opportunity to do those things. But again, we're in an old building right now, so we don't really have the space to do all the things that we want to do. But in 12 to 15 months, when we're in our new space, watch out. Here we go.
So we're having you on a third time in 12 to 15 months. Is what I'm hearing.
Let's do it.
We need to.
I'll bring some of my team with me. We can have fun.
Yeah, hopefully we can fit everybody. But we'll figure it out.
We'll squeeze in.
Yeah, but the story about Louis I really love, because, shout out to Louis, former guest of the show, by the way. But I like it because it makes me think of, I think we often don't consider a membership in a Chamber of Commerce potentially as an investment, both like in ourselves professionally and in our business. And I think like Louis said, he probably learned things in that class that will literally equal out to making more money or saving more money for his business.
For sure.
Right. And so it can actually, not just be like, I want to join, or, I think I should, or whatever. It can just be like, this is literally going to pay dividends in the long run if I'm here to learn. Right.
It really will. So people we've been around for 82 years. And so in the early days, people invested and paid their membership dues to the chamber because it was the right thing to do. Generations change, people change. And we're in a generation now where there's a lot of, what's in it for me? What am I actually why is it worth it for me to pay that membership? Well, for our entry point for membership is $299 a year. So for $300, your business could invest in that. And it truly is a business investment. It's a personal investment. You can join as just a person, and there are going to be opportunities for you, because it all comes down to, what are you looking for? What is it that you want to get out of this? Because everybody's in a different phase. You're either in this, businesses will typically be either in this growth phase where they are trying to find new customers, find contract opportunities, meet new people, find employees, or you're in this phase where you have grown to where you want to be, or close to where you want to be. You've got a good amount of staff, and you're trying to influence or give back to your community. And there are ways for you to do both of those things through the chamber. And so we try and really tailor and market our messaging so that they understand, like, this is your possible return. And, if you're trying to find customers, or maybe grow your business through just learning how to be more profitable. Some people don't even know how to do food costs, for example. So a class on food costing could save them. That $300 could be saved in a 1-month window for them. But when it comes to, trying to actually grow their business by meeting new people, we have a resource of more than 20,000 employees that we can actually communicate to. And so when you're thinking about networking, it's like this word that sometimes people don't love, but we provide you with like an access to, on any given month that we're having a business after hours, for example, that's like 200 people that you could possibly connect with. And you should not go connect to everybody. You should not go be that person that's like, here, business cards for you. That's not how that works. But you could make meaningful connections and build, long-term relationships that are going to grow your business, because that's really what it's about. It's not about just trying to be like, how many hands can I shake today? It's about the meaningful part of it. And if we know what that member needs and what they're looking for, then we can be intentional in executing our core values. Like our second core value is to earnestly build bridges. And that's exactly what that is. You tell me what you need, I'm going to find that person and I'm going to build a bridge between the two of you so that you both can benefit.
So I'm thinking about small businesses because we live in a community and somebody has an idea for a lemonade company or a way to sell knives.
Yeah.
I recently heard that there's going to be like a furnace or a kiln, I don't know what that's called, in Lochapoka, where like you can go and like make a
pottery and
blacksmith.
stuff?
No, blacksmith.
Oh, wow.
I know, I just heard about that. But I was like, that's a crazy niche idea. So I like this idea that they can come and learn, because those people are usually passionate. Sam said this before. Like some people are passionate about something, they want to make it into a business, and some people want to make a business. But on the passionate side, it's like, okay, how do I, like you talked about profitability, food costing, like a lot of people don't know that. If somebody's like looking to start a business with their idea, what's like one thing that you've kind of seen like, okay, this is something they need to get down early and understand early so that way they can begin to be successful?
Oh, goodness. As crazy as it is, I just had a meeting earlier this week with someone who's wanting to start a coaching and consulting business. And I think for starters, you have to think, is there a need? Like you need to really be critical and think hard. Like, is what I want to do something that people want or need? Not just like, oh, is this fun for me to do? Like, would people pay for that? Like my sister, for example, she's thinking about starting a kind of event planning, decorating type business, because she loves, like she just planned my brother's baby shower, went to town, did an amazing job, absolutely loved it. And you could tell the energy that she had. And so her first question was, would people pay for my services? And you have to really think about that and assess that. And so once you decide yes and figure out, yes, people will pay for those services, one of those first things that you really have to do and get in line is your branding and deciding, who are you? Like name, you've got to have a website these days. You've got to have the social media channels. Like you might not have to be actively posting on your social channels, but you've got to secure those things, because people these days, especially over the last couple of years and how digital everything is now, they don't trust something that doesn't have a website that supports it. And so like figuring out what's your name going to be, what is your logo going to look like, and luckily there's great services out there. Not only could you partner with someone, but typically in that stage you're not going to have the money to go pay a company to help you with that. But there's a great free tool called Canva that is great and easy to use and will help you kind of get started. Like it might not be your forever brand, but you've got to at least be able to communicate who you are and what you do and why people would want to work with you through a website and those channels, because without it, I don't know, it's just hard. Sometimes you might have relationships that can get you past that, but so many people, they just have inquisitive minds and they also have a certain amount of distrust. So like if you don't have a website, then their immediate reaction is like, oh, well, then they're not legit. Well,
yeah, and I was reading in a marketing book a few months ago about like the number of touch points that the average customer has to hit before they trust you enough to buy it, or they have heard enough, I guess.
I think it used to be like 6 or 7, and now it's like 19.
Yeah, it keeps going up. I don't know
19?
the number anymore, but yeah, it's
Wow.
I don't know. I guess I'm curious why that is, but I guess that could probably be a few different things.
That
but,
all comes back to just us being torn in 1,000 different directions.
So
like
many brands
the
fighting.
world has changed once we got these.
Yeah.
And, just this example of my life at home, when the TV is on, I'm not all into what's on that TV. I am split between one, my brain going a million miles an hour because that's how my brain is. So it's already torn. And then I'm like, oh, I'm kind of paying attention to what's on the TV, but I've also got this in my hand and I'm scrolling on something. So you're not focused on anything. So you might I might scroll past something and see, oh, like I might recognize something, but I'm not giving it my full thoughts. And so I think it just comes down to the density of content that we are all receiving all the time, and it just makes it that much harder to fight through it.
Constant. I think especially, I think a podcast is a perfect example of a format that people really are not typically going to devote 100% of their attention to.
Correct.
And I think it's, it's for the purpose of we listen to podcasts often while we're doing laundry or while we're driving, while we're taking a shower or something. And so I think it's
Some
wonderful.
people listen while they're working,
Yeah. And, I think it's wonderful that we can kind of be on in the background, providing a little conversation and company. But it is interesting in that you do kind of have to be aware of the fact that people's attention is almost never undivided nowadays.
Correct.
Right?
And you have to be for me as a leader, that's a key thing. When I have meetings, I do one-on-one meetings with my team, and I'm very intentional. We go out to lunch, we leave the office, and I do my best to leave my phone in my purse, because otherwise I am very much divided and, I'm getting an email or a text or whatever and get distracted. You've got to, as a leader, you have to be intentional about that, because, again, that also makes your team feel appreciated in that manner. So it's hard.
Yeah. So is that pull in all those different directions part of what makes reading Harry Potter for a 30th time so appealing, that when you're reading, that is the one thing that your attention is devoted to?
So I learned something about myself this past year, just actually in the last month. I read a book called Men Are Like Waffles, Women Are Like Spaghetti.
I heard about this, actually.
Yes. So it's like this, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, but, New Age. So one of your collab cohorts, Raven Harvest, is who encouraged me to read it. And so, and what I learned is that, men's brains really the waffles are like the pocket of focus. So you like to be in one box, one quadrant of that waffle and focus, whereas women's brains are twirling around, and it's like a plate of spaghetti. One thing connects to the other, and etc. Well, reading that made me realize that my brain never stops. I am always even today I was talking to Todd, and I had 4 things that one thing just led to another, and I was like, I promise this is my last thing I'm going to talk to you about, and then I'm going to let you not talk. So I learned that I'm constantly going and weaving and thinking of different things, but when I sit down and read, I do nothing else. My brain is only reading. And so it was helpful for both, Todd and I both read it, because he now understands that I'm not just reading just because I like to read. For him, when he can sit down and play a darts game on his phone, his brain is only thinking about darts in that moment. The only time I am only thinking about what is in my lap is when I'm reading a book. And that's why I love Harry Potter.
Wow. So a good book is one long spaghetti noodle to follow.
It's a full plate, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that we can perk your attention real quick. That little sound was so that way we catch your attention. We're going to take a quick break, but during that, we're going to share some events that you could go check out in the community and get plugged in with all of this stuff that we're talking about now.
Awesome.